Hello, everybody, and welcome to Just for Women Africa. And my name is Olaleko Amusa, the founder of Just for Women Africa. And today, we're on a Zoom interview all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. We have with us Susan Younis. Susan is a market and content production producer. She's been around for 15 years. She's worked in Europe and America and across Africa. She's worked with brands like Apple, Woman Music, MultiChoice, NBC Universal, and Viacom. She'll be talking to us about her company, Say Visionaries, and we'll be talking about other stuff. So stick around and we'll be right back. Okay, well, welcome back to Just for Women Africa. Hello, Susan. You're welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Susan. Such a pleasure having you here. All right, Susan. Before we go into details, could you just tell us briefly about Say Visionaries?
Sure. So Say Visionaries is my baby. I launched it officially on the 1st of February of 2023. And essentially, we are a content, digital, and marketing agency based in Lagos, Nigeria. We have an army in Lagos, but we also serve Pan-Africa as well. So our speciality really media, entertainment, music, and pretty much we'll service great clients that come to us. So yeah, very, very excited to have my baby after working in the corporate for so many years. Now, like I'm on the other side, which is scary, daunting, but exciting.
All right. So how does it feel? I mean, owning your own business. I mean, we're moving from a 9 to 5 to now a CEO of your own business. Managing your own finances and going out there to look for clients.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've worked in the corporate world pretty much for, close to 15 years. So I'm used to working very closely with agencies. So this opportunity came about very quickly. I was the chief marketing officer at a company called Mara. And I essentially was very fortunate to pitch to them to leave the business and basically service them as an agency. So they were my first client. So yeah, really excited to be given that opportunity. So from that, essentially, Say Visionaries was born.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so what kind of clients does Say Visionaries cater for? I mean, I know it's content, music, but what kind of clients exactly do you cater for? Do you cater for upcoming clients or clients which are already out there who are making it, in the industry?
Sure. And that's a really good question. Because we're so new, a lot of people that I've worked with in the past have kind of reached out to me asking for services. So if anyone wants to really amplify or kind of like expand their brand or introduce their brand in Nigeria and in Africa that I've worked with, they've just come to me. So at the moment, I'm servicing people I've worked with in the past. So that can be people in the music space, the entertainment space, the TV space. We're doing a financial, we're targeting the financial space as well. So it's just really a myriad of people. I mean, marketing at the end of the day is marketing. There's no cookie cut approach to marketing. I think once you understand, you can apply it pretty much to most genres and industries. But it just so happens to be that a lot of people from my past have come to me now asking for help with whatever their campaign is or brand. So I'm fortunate to be in that space.
Okay, all right. You had been in the UK for a while, and you moved back to Nigeria. Is that different with the marketing in the UK and the marketing in Nigeria? What are the changing dynamics?
So basically my specialty is essentially marketing like African products, African artists, whatever is in Africa. So that can be marketing it within the continent or amplifying that outside of the continent. So I have, when you ask me like what marketing is like in the UK, for me, it's a slightly different market. I mean, you have to be nimble when you're a marketer. So, for instance, it costs a lot more to market in the UK, but the diaspora is huge there. The spending power is huge. So I can't really answer that question like at a snapshot. I've just have vast experience pretty much working in global markets when it comes to marketing. So yeah, I pull in relevant specialists depending on what the market is, what the product is, etc., what the objectives of the campaign is. So there's no straight answer to your question, essentially.
So let's talk about you moving from the UK to Nigeria. What was the transition like? I mean, from you moving from the UK back to Nigeria?
Really good question. When I moved back, it was pretty much at the time where Afrobeats was just about to like tip internationally. So, you know, Wizkid was just releasing, Davido was just releasing, you know, D'banj and Don Jazzy, like was the biggest artist in Nigeria at the time. So for me, I was working at MTV in the UK. So moving from that music scene to the music scene was very easy because I love music and I was immersed in that world. Also remember, I am Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. And even though I grew up in the UK, I always used to go back pretty much every summer because my dad lived there. But living there initially, I'd say for the first couple of months was a bit of a culture shock, just to get your head around, you know, basic kind of like cultural changes, things like maybe a lot of traffic, the heat, maybe like you're, you know, NEPA taking lights, those kind of things. But like once you're past that mayhem, it's not really mayhem in my eyes, to be honest. It's just part of like life here. I loved it. I felt like if you could achieve anything in Nigeria, you could pretty much achieve anything in the world because it's not an easy market to achieve, like, you know, easy things in. There's a lot of obstacles in your way, but the amount of talent I found in Nigeria is just like blown my mind. I feel like the most creative people I've ever worked in my whole career have come from Nigeria. I feel like the most fulfilling projects I've done have come out of Nigeria as well. And I pretty much feel now like Nigeria sets the tone for a lot of Africa in regards to culture, fashion, music. So for me, it's like just coming back home. It was a natural step to come back. I'm not sure even if I want to go back to the UK anytime soon. I love Nigeria so much.
Yeah, we love you to stay around and not go back. You are Nigerian.
Thank you.
Okay, I did watch an interview of you some time back. I think that was probably 10, 11 years back. And you did make a statement about Wizkid. And you did say that we should watch out for him because he's going to be a global superstar. What made you at that time make that comment?
Oh, really?
Because
I don't even remember that.
Because at that time, Wizkid had just come onto the scene, and you know there was Davido, and you know there was but you know Basketball and the rest of them. But you did point out specifically Wizkid.
I don't even recall that. That's interesting you say that. Wow, I need to find out that interview. I need to dig that out. I don't know. I think I probably one of the first people to interview him right at the beginning of his career, because like I said, I was kind of like heading up production for MTV Nigeria at the time, and I just saw this star potential in this very, very small kid. He was very charismatic and still is, you know, super talented. He was just one of the few people you see who has a God-given talent, and you know if it's channeled the right way, like it could just literally explode. And I felt like that's what he had. So yeah, I mean, you said that was 10 years ago. That's crazy that that interview probably happened then. But I felt the same way about Davido as well. Like, again, someone who I've known his manager, Asa, for many, many years. And I remember Asa brought David into our MTV offices in Parkview in Ikoyi. And, you know, you could just tell like that he just had a certain energy and charisma and drive that would take him far. And it's amazing to see what he's become today. Like it just makes me so happy to see how this music has just like, it's still relevant in Nigeria, but like crossing borders, crossing oceans, you know, and you're seeing all these American and UK artists like clamoring to collaborate with our own. Like, I love it. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Even Burna Boy, like I'm not surprised all of these artists have blown and lasted as well at all, because they have the drive to do it, you know, and talent as well.
Sure, definitely. Okay. All right, so let's talk about your move to Nigeria and being a woman. Of course, this is just for Women Africa. What was it like being a woman moving back to Nigeria, I mean, from the UK? What were some of the challenges you had to deal with? First of all, did they take you seriously when you go to meetings and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I moved back, I was quite senior in the production team. I basically built and was part of in Nigeria. I think, I'm just trying to think if I was the first senior female in that team. I think I was in Nigeria actually. And, you know, my working style had to change quite quickly in Nigeria. I found myself basically shouting a little bit more than I would have perhaps in the UK, and just trying to kind of like ascertain my authority to certain people. I'm not going to name who they are because those people are probably no longer in the industry, but like in the grand scheme of things, like I walked into an amazing family of creatives in Lagos. and I still speak to pretty much most of them today, and they're like flourishing in their careers. You know, a couple of them have moved to the States, super successful in their field. I've also carried a couple of them into like the agency I own today. So I haven't really had any issues, to be honest, moving back. I think anyone that may have been problematic, I don't know, I haven't seen them in the industry anymore. So I think that was just a me or a female thing. I think it was just acclimatizing, first of all, to, like I say, traffic, lack of power, you know, and maybe not having such a robust creative team at the time. There was a very small pool of people at the time, for instance, who we could pull out that could edit perhaps or shoot to a certain standard, but now that's not a problem at all. I mean, the industry is like completely full of amazing creatives, you know? So yeah, I don't really remember struggling coming when I first came back though. I found it a challenge, don't get me wrong, but I love that. Like, give me a challenge all day, every day, and I'll like attack it, you know? But yeah, like I have a family of creatives now that I can like, yeah, I can say that we've all come up together, you know? So really, really proud of like the scene here right now.
All right. So could you tell us, what do you think is the future for the creative industry in Nigeria 10 years from now?
Oh, wow. You know what? The sky is the limit, honestly, because when you're seeing like so much international investment, especially into Nigeria and interest, like it's just, I feel like we've only just touched the surface of what we can do. Like a prime example is, you know, Gangs of Lagos that came out recently on Amazon. Like I follow Jade very closely on her socials, and I think that topped, I don't know, like top 10 countries in the world in the first week of its release. And I don't think that could have happened 10 years ago, you know? So I think there's definitely going to be a lot more investment in the Hollywood scene here, a hell of a lot more investment in our Nigerian music and entertainment scene. And yeah, I can see a lot of like cross-pollination as well happening across the continent as well as outside of Africa. So yeah, like I feel this is just the beginning of something incredibly beautiful, for sure. For sure. We're like, I knew Nigeria would be setting the tone for the continent, but I don't think I foresaw it penetrating like internationally to the extent it has done, you know? So I think it can only keep growing, for sure, 100%.
All right. Do you think Nigeria will be getting more musicians into the Grammy Awards nomination lists?
Yeah, sure. But like, I think it's also important that I'm trying to say this diplomatically, sorry. I don't think it's always as important to get this international acclaim, because I think we're fine as we are. Yes, having a Grammy obviously is like the cherry on top, but I think we as Africans need to also understand that we appreciate us and our art ourselves. It doesn't take someone next door to have to appreciate us, you know? So I don't think everyone or every artist should be aiming for that Grammy. They should just be aiming for like local critical acclaim, and that's more than enough, you know? Because I feel like, yeah, why should, because someone else from another culture says we're good, does that mean we're good? We know we're good. We don't need that anymore, you know? We don't need that international acclaim per se. And I think artists are getting to that stage now where they don't necessarily need that American feature to cross over or that UK feature to cross over. They know that they're good by themselves, you know?
I do agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that. Okay. So as we round up the interview to a close, could you tell us what's the future for Say Visionaries?
Yeah, so the future is, I've got a lot of exciting clients that I have announced. So I'm very, very happy to announce that my company brought Entertainment into Nigeria for the first time. We recently filmed at the Gangs of Lagos premiere. That's because I've pretty much consulted for them for nearly 10 years now. So it just felt like a natural step to essentially help them come into Nigeria. So I'm also servicing another company I used to work at, which was Apple. I used to work at Platoon, which is the music services division of Apple. So I feel like, yeah, we are going to grow in regards to international clients of that caliber. And I also want to work with more local clients as well. I currently work with Accelerate Plus, which is owned by Access Bank. So that's a truly Nigerian company. It's a streaming platform. So yeah, like I'm here to help clients who essentially want to amplify their brands in Nigeria, in Ghana, in South Africa, in East Africa. We have teams. So yeah, like I just want to use this gift that I've kind of nurtured over the years to essentially help brands like really, really say what they want to say to the world, you know? So I feel like I'm just getting started. Even though I've been in this industry for about 15 years, I feel like I'm really, really getting started now with my company. So yeah, every day is crazy, and I'm loving it right now. Crazy. So I don't know why I didn't do this earlier, to be honest. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Well, this is the right time, definitely. This is definitely the right time. We're happy for you. We're happy for you and wish you all the best with Say Visionaries. With Say Visionaries. All right. So, what's your advice to women out there? I mean, who feel the daily struggles of being a woman, who feel it's a man's world, who feel that they need money to start a business, who feel they're not creative enough, who want to get into creative spaces like you are. What's your advice to them?
Interesting. You said about women who don't feel they're creative enough. I don't feel being creative is about what sex you are, like you're creative or you're not, and when I think about pitfalls women have, I get a bit emotional when I think about this, because I get a lot of messages from young women who ask me for pretty much the same advice, and sometimes they're put in awkward positions where like men have essentially, said to them they need to do X, Y, Z to get a job or get a foot on the ladder. And it just breaks my heart when I hear stories like that, because you don't need to do that to do well in this industry. You really don't. Like, your talent and network is really all it takes, So like, I just want to say that if anyone actually needs any advice, like, my DMs are always open. I will always absolutely do that, because I feel like, because I've got to a certain level in my career, I feel like God has put me here to help young women as well who want to come up in the creative industry. So I tend to hire a lot of women. I definitely support a lot of women along my journey, So yeah, like, and going back to your question, I don't see my sex as a detriment to what I can achieve. Like, that's not how I was raised. I feel like I can offer pretty much what any other man can offer when it comes to what I do career-wise and creativity-wise. I've never seen my sex as a barrier. And that's why I implore other women to also think and feel, I think as women, generally, we empathize a lot with people, which help us in the workplace. Like, I'm a mother, for instance. So I think that can make me a better manager, especially when people are having personal problems. I can be very empathetic towards them, So I just encourage women to use those natural gifts, I feel, being a woman, give us, you know what I mean, in the workplace, essentially. Another tip I would say also is that use your network that you have. And I know a lot of people say, oh, how do I get a network? But like, just be seen, like, try and attend seminars, go to events, go to conferences, reach out to people and be professional when you reach out to them, and reach out to other women that maybe you look up to, get a mentor in this industry. Because there are a lot of women that I know in my network who also want to uplift other women, because we know how hard it is to get into this industry. So that's what I would implore people to do. But don't give up. Like, don't, because women are amazing. Like, creativity is just overflowing, and they just, I don't know. I don't want to say I prefer working with women, because that's not the case. But yeah, like, I don't think any woman should be, let's say, how can I say this? I don't think any woman should feel that they can't get into it because of their sex, put it that way, or their gender, just keep pushing and it will happen. If that's God's will for you, it will happen for sure.
I like that. If that's God's will for you, it will definitely happen. Thank you, Susan, for joining us on the interview. We really appreciate it. We wish you all the best with your company, Say Visionaries, and we look forward to interviewing again in the future.